What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stranger Things Has Happened. I am Don Dellasnooch, and as always, I have the lovely Lunrgrl with me.
Hey,
How you
friends.
doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Hmm.
We are gonna dive right in to episode 6, The Monster.
The monster. This was so good. I still 6 episodes. We've got 2 episodes left. I don't have a freaking clue where this is going right now.
No, but it is fucking intense.
It really is. It really is.
We had that one episode, was it last week, where we were just like, this is a mid-season episode.
Mid-season.
This one
Yeah.
is not that at all. This one's
Holy
punched you right in
crap.
the mouth.
Right in the beginning too, we picked up exactly where we left off, where Jonathan's still looking for Nancy, like right at the very second where we left off, and Nancy's trying to get out of the upside down.
And I was completely wrong. There's only one Demogorgon in there.
There's only one. And I tried looking to see if it was, remember, I thought it was a stick and you thought it was a tail.
Uh-huh.
And I rewatched that scene like probably a half a dozen times. And it doesn't seem like a stick because it was soft, but it's definitely not a tail because the Demogorgon doesn't have a tail. And then finally, my 18-year-old Padawan, who has seen every episode several times, said, Mom, things are different in the upside down. The ground is a little bit softer there. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, there you go.
So I just accept that as true.
I like it.
I like it too. So there, Jonathan is calling for Nancy, like screaming for Nancy, and Nancy screaming for Jonathan. They can both hear each other, but they're like far away. And Jonathan's like, follow my voice. And Nancy finally goes into the tree where the gate was closing, but it didn't completely close yet. Thank God. I thought it completely closed. And Jonathan's looking at that gate, with the icky wispies on it, and then a hand thrusts out, and it was like, oh, it's just Nancy. So Jonathan pulled her out, and she's all icky, dirty, slimy. But everything was good, and then it, cut to the opening credits scene, which the song is like so good. Like, now I know what Shanti was talking about, where she hears that song and she gets excited.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a good song.
So then after opening credits, we cut to Steve and Tommy and Carol driving around, and Steve seems legit worried about Nancy, and he just wants to stop by to see if she's okay. And
the other kids are picking on him.
Yeah. And he stops by and shimmies up the house and looks in the window and sees Jonathan Byers with an arm around Nancy. So you know what a teenage boy is going to think there.
Well, yeah, duh.
Yeah. And I know I've said this before, but I just have to say it again. The soundtrack, the 80s songs, I mean, this time it was Sunglasses at Night, Corey Hart. Like, dude, such great freaking music in this series.
Absolutely. I mean, the 80s were what they were, but the music of the 80s was definitely good.
I'm an 80s girl, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. It's like, it sucks me back.
80s,
everything about this sucks me back.
80s and 90s music is right in my sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So after Steve sees the canoodling, we cut over to Hopper and Joyce. And
before we go too far, I do want to bring up that after Jonathan pulled her through the tree, the bark on the tree closed, like whatever that little portal was closed up on its own.
Yeah.
Unlike the rift that's in the
lab
facility.
Yeah. So maybe it can create like temporary gates.
Yeah, like maybe the Demogorgon can just pop in and out wherever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it doesn't have to be he. It could be a she or a them.
Them or thingy. it's a demigorgon. Maybe
it doesn't have to reproduce, and
maybe it
therefore it's
doesn't.
neither.
Yeah. Maybe it's asexual. We don't know.
Ooh, I'm asexual right now.
I'm just mom.
Does that make you mom sexual?
Mom sexual. Can I be like coffee sexual?
Yes, absolutely.
Coffee turns me on anymore.
So then technically right now I'm tequila sexual. Because tequila makes me feel better.
Coffee makes me feel better. Coffee is life. Coffee is love.
Tequila doesn't seem to get me pregnant, but it does make me feel better.
Oh, it definitely gets me pregnant. So yeah, I gotta stay
So
away
I've
from
heard.
that.
I've heard.
Anyway, so Hopper and Joyce are talking, and because last episode it came out where Hopper's like, "I believe you," and they start telling each other what they know.
Right.
And Joyce is like, "Go over the lab again." So Hopper's telling her everything that he remembers about the lab. He's like, "We already talked about this and the drawing on the wall." And Joyce is like, "What?
You didn't tell me about no
wall?"
drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, "What kind of drawing was it?" And he's like a kid's drawing. And she's like, "Was it good?" And he's like, "It was stick figures, Joyce." And she's like, "It's not Will," because Hopper this whole time thought that he was finding out if he thought Will was taken in the lab.
He'd been chasing the wrong kid.
Yes. And Hopper's like, "How do you know it's not Will?" And she brings out the drawing of that flashback that she had a couple episodes ago where Will was Will the Great at the Wizard with the cabbage fireballs.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. She kept
I love it when directors have nice payoffs for stuff.
Yeah. Like we're here wondering like this whole entire time what's important, what's not important, and we're kind of covering everything because we don't know. And it turns out that everything is important in this show. Like
seems to
every
be.
last detail has it connects to something. So Hopper tells Joyce, Terry Ives, he came across when he was doing research across an article about Terry Ives, who had a daughter named Jean, and it was a newspaper clipping, and that's when he says, "Maybe we're not chasing Will, maybe we're chasing after another kid."
Right.
And it was like, oh my gosh. And that's when I started like, what if 11 was a kid? But then we transferred over to Nancy, and Nancy's got some mad PTSD going on. She's taking a shower. All she can see are flashes of the Demigorgon. And she basically asked Will to sleep over. And then she asked Will to crawl up in her bed because not because of the teenage sex thing. It's because this girl is terrified and she's not going to go and sleep in her parents' bed. So she
Did you catch that Will was snuggling up with the gun that doesn't have a fucking safety on it or anything? I'm just sitting there going, "Don't do that." Yeah. That's dumb.
Good thing it's a toy.
Him or her or you.
Yeah. Don't get it snagged on anything. Hope it doesn't catch on the pillowcase.
But then they didn't show him with it when he got up into the bed. I thought that was weird.
Right. Well, he put it under the pillow.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he put it under the pillow.
Roger.
I don't know why that stuck out in my head. I guess I needed to know that for today, but it stuck out that he shoved the gun under the pillow.
Good.
And then Will's trying to calm her down and says, "It can't get us in here." And Nancy's like, "We don't know that." And
how did Will get in here?
What?
You said Will's trying to calm her down.
Oh,
Jonathan,
I'm sorry.
I knew what you meant, but I just thought it was
funny. Maybe I can't talk super fast to know what I'm talking about.
11 is still kind of gone. She bailed. She's out in the woods somewhere. And Mike is super pissed.
Yeah, Mike's pissed
off. You got to leave Will alone. He's not even in these scenes.
Oh my gosh, why do I keep saying Will?
You got baby Will on the mind, man. He's not even in this episode.
He's not even in this episode. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but
It's funny. You got to think though, that kid that plays this character.
Yeah.
At some point, they had to be like, you know what? You're not really in this season.
Yeah.
But you are the main character. What?
Yeah. Right? Wonder what he got paid. Yeah, that's something for another episode.
Right, for sure.
But then we flash over to Hopper at a phone booth, because of wiretaps and shit.
Sure.
And he's getting information on where he can find Terry Ives at a phone booth, which I don't think they even exist anymore. So I thought it was kind of nice to see a phone booth.
Right. Well, you can always find them in Hollywood. They've got them.
I'm sure. They have to. And then Nancy, we flash back over to Nancy's house and, nuclear family. Mom made pancakes, blueberry pancakes.
And I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I have to say, I have not had pancakes made for me in a while.
Oh my gosh. Why do you have to live so far away? Pancakes are one of my comfort foods. Seriously, pancakes.
I just go to restaurants and buy pancakes.
They're like one of the best things on earth.
I think so.
Yeah. So Mom's like, come down for breakfast. And she's trying to open the door. And Jonathan's like, your mom doesn't knock? It's like, and the thing is that I knew where Nancy was coming from because like my mom never knocked either. My mom said, it's my house. Don't you dare lock your doors.
See, I didn't have that. I had, I would get the knock because I might be doing, I might be doing boy things in there, what I'm saying?
Yeah. And girls didn't do boy things like that. So
bullshit.
Yeah. No, we did not. Well, I didn't. I didn't.
Fucking flower petals all over the place.
I was a good girl.
You keep telling me that.
I was. Dragon Buddy is the one who made me a bad girl.
That's not what Dragon Buddy said.
Oh.
He said that he was a good boy. And
only around his grandmother and mother.
And then he said you made him naughty.
Oh, he's so full of shit. He's so full of shit.
Where are we?
Science
Nancy's
teacher.
got a plan.
Nancy's got a plan. I almost skipped over that part. Nancy's got a plan. They're gonna go out. They're gonna get this Demogorgon. So and because of the nerd that Nancy is, and she couldn't sleep, she was up doing research on what could have attracted this. So she's got it narrowed down to blood because Barb had cut herself and the Demogorgon showed up.
Yep.
And the deer was hit by a car and was bleeding and the Demogorgon shows up.
Right. And she seems to have figured out that it's more like a shark or a bear than it is like a wolf or lion.
Yeah.
Kind of
totally attracted to blood. Acts by itself, doesn't exactly.
It's not a pack animal.
Of Demogorgons. The only thing is I went back and checked. I went all the way back to episode 1. Will wasn't bleeding when this Demogorgon came out, so I don't know what attracted it to Will. Other than Will.
Are you sure? Like when he didn't like scratch himself or something when he crashed that bike or whatever? Didn't he?
He didn't crash the bike until the Demogorgon went like in front of him in the road.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And that made him steer off into the woods and crash.
So it might have just been a matter of he happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's what I'm thinking. So Demogorgons aren't always attracted to blood, but
no, for sure. You heard it?
I heard it. I have really good hearing though.
Oh, I can fix that.
You're fine. That was nice. It was pleasant.
It was a nice ding.
It was a nice ding. It wasn't annoying.
That's pretty much what women have always told me. It's a nice ding. It's not great, but it didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me. It was pleasant.
Yeah, it was pleasant. Well done. I'm not going to invite you back, but you didn't ruin my night.
It was
so you got that.
It was nice.
You got that going for you. All right, so the lady comes to the science teacher's house. I forget the guy's name.
I forget the guy's name too, but we'll call him science teacher. And she's got a pamphlet on, like an Indiana AV club, and wants to know all this information about the boys. And
And so Homelander
damn
came in.
well, she is one of the lab people.
Yeah, we've seen her before.
Yeah.
It's not even her first time out of the lab, I think, trying to pretend to be somebody. She's the chick that showed up at the diner.
Yep. Different clothes, different hairdo.
Yep.
But same person. And she's also, a little bit flirty, and science teacher's like, I know just the boys for you. This is such a great opportunity for them. And just willingly gives her all the information. And I'm like,
it's not super hard to get a science nerd to just tell you way too much stuff.
Yeah, especially a, middle-aged weenie. He is a little weenie. He's nice. I would probably hang out with him if I knew him. But he was a little bit of a weenie. So, pretty lady flirting with you about science shit. Hell yeah. But, 80s, they didn't really have too many privacy laws back then anyway.
Right.
So. And then we flash over to Dustin. Dustin shows up at Mike's house.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely does. And he's like, look, dude.
Yeah.
You're a dick. 11 was a dick.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go you got to go make up with Lucas because you're the one that drew first blood. So they're definitely setting up a dynamic that they look at their friend group in real life much like a party in D&D.
Yeah.
We keep going back to these D&D tropes.
Yeah.
Don't split the party. Don't, whoever started the ruckus has to be the one that finishes it.
Yeah.
That kind of vibe.
It's kind of nice though at the same time. Like I'm kind of enjoying that.
It's one of my favorite parts about the show.
Yeah. There's like a I don't know, like a fellowship.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. And then we pan over to 11. 11's having a flashback. Today we make contact where Papa's bringing 11 a little African violet. And today is a very special day. And I'm like, before the make contact thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, are you going to talk to her about like puberty or something? Like this guy is just like too much for me to handle.
So that was an African violet?
That was an African violet in that pot.
How did you know that?
I know plants.
Okay. I was like, I didn't understand what he gave her. It kind of looked like a box.
Yeah,
but apparently it was a little
potted plant, with an African violet in it.
All right. I was like, yeah, okay. He brought her a present, and then they didn't address what the present was, but apparently I just didn't look close enough.
It's okay. I'm a super huge nerd too, and one of my nerd things is plants. I know like a lot of plant stuff.
Right.
But that's a whole nother episode.
Right.
So he's like telling 11, today we make contact. And then she wakes up and she's in the forest. She puts on her wig. She goes over to the water. She sees her reflection and she's like, fuck this wig. Takes it off, sees herself, and just like has this disgust for herself and just like screams and like, the water goes flying and shit.
Right.
So that was like, it was kind of sad. It shows
that was a very real moment.
Guilty and just, body dysmorphia and just like hates who she is,
right.
Like, and it's building up to where we'll save that for the end of the episode.
Well, let's not forget too that Will and the other kids just called her a monster.
Yeah.
So then she looks at her reflection. What else is she going to see?
Yeah. She hates herself, and it was so sad for me. She acted it out very well.
Yeah, she's what's
Millie
her name? Millie Bobby Brown. She's an incredible young actress.
She really is. Like,
Well,
this
she's
whole
not young
series.
so much anymore.
Oh,
She's like
yeah.
20 now, but
Yeah. Incredible series. Like, I can't even downplay anything.
So then she goes back into the isolation chamber. But
Yeah.
as she's going under and it all blacks out, we go to the grocery store.
Yeah. Oh, we're not there yet. Mom decides to, or Karen decides to go upstairs and tell Nancy, get your ass down there. Your pancakes are getting cold. And, takes a bobby pin out of her perfect hair and picks the lock, as all moms know how to do. I do too. And opens the door, and what do you know? There's a sleeping bag on the floor and evidence that Nancy had a little sleepover and the window's open. So you know what Mama's thinking right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we go over to Lucas's house, and Will is ready to apologize. Lucas is not ready to accept the apology. They all go into the house, and Lucas is like, I accept your apology. And they're like, yes, on one condition: lose Elle. And Mike is defending Elle into the ground. Dustin saying, knock it off. Dustin reminds them what happened. Like, Lucas is like, fine, if you're not going to lose Elle, I'll go find Will by myself. And Dustin's like, you can't split up the pack. Remember what happened when we played Dungeons and Dragons at one time and we all split up? We all almost died. And then they say
he said that they got wiped.
Yes. And I love this. They compared it to R2-D2 fighting Darth Vader. And I'm like,
yeah, I was all nerdy about it.
Exactly what I would have said back in the mid 80s, Like, these guys, like, I was those kids. I was those kids. I was that type of nerd.
I really feel like we could hang out with the Duffer Brothers and we would be like, yep, we're all part of the same cut.
Hell yeah. Because that was me. Like, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, like, say if this took place in 85, I'm not sure what year it takes place at, but if it was 85, I started playing Dungeons and Dragons like maybe 5 or 6 years after that. So
yeah, see,
I rode my bike everywhere, like I kind of looked like this, the way I look right now, with boys. I was like the only girl. Sometimes there was one other girl, but
fuck that bitch.
That was me. She was a good bitch, though. I loved her.
So Hopper and Joyce meet up with what we're at least led to believe at this time is Eleven's mom.
Yes.
And she is essentially catatonic.
Yes.
She's been fucked up on all the drugs, and then what we're led to believe was lost her child. The people at the lab took her child from her
for 5 years. She hasn't talked in 5 years. So they're just trying to get details on Jane and Dr. Brenner.
It makes me wonder, though, about the 6 years in between, because I'm pretty sure they're saying 11 is 12 years old at this point.
Yes. Jane is 12 years old. But after they took Jane, and they'll explain this like a few more scenes later. After they took Jane, Terry tried to fight them, sue the CIA, sue Brenner, and try to get her kid back and everything. But basically everybody said, you're just a crazy drug addict.
Right. So then I don't know what happened there. We may never know. They might drop this thread.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I have a headcanon about it.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about it later.
Sounds good.
Because now Elle goes into the grocery store because Elle wants some waffles.
Yeah, and I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either. She's hungry. And the manager comes up and, little girl, where's your mommy? Where's your daddy? And she's like, mouth breather. Goes in the freezer, grabs like 4 boxes of Eggos and just like walks out and like, she's doing her whoopsie doos and shopping carts are getting in the way, doors are closing, caused a big commotion. And then we flashed out again. Lucas, he goes all Rambo. He's packing up his bag. He ties that bandana around his head. He's like, baby Rambo.
Baby Bo.
Rambo. But the lab guys are spying on him. The Hawkins Power Company.
Yep. Absolutely. Did you know that Eggos existed in the mid-'80s?
Yes, because right around the mid-'80s was when they started having the commercials, Lego My Eggo.
Was it? I didn't think that happened till the '90s.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I was
let you know in the next episode.
I was totally like, I didn't know Eggos were an '80s thing. I thought they were a '90s thing.
They were very big in the '90s, but I remember them being the expensive gourmet toaster waffles that you didn't have to make. And because we were poor, we never got them.
We were poor. I would have never got.
In fact, no name brand pancake mix.
When I was growing up, I remember my friend used to get Nestle Quick. Remember when it came in a can, the tin can, and you could pop the lid off the middle?
Yeah.
And I would always want that. My parents would be like, no, we ain't got that kind of money.
I usually got it like once a year.
And I just that dude would fucking just be like, spill it on the counter, wipe it on the floor. I'm like, I was that kind of poor kid.
They had that cheap knockoff, I think it was called Bosco or something, the syrup. That was terrible.
Nope. I don't know anything about that. And he would get strawberry quick powder too. Fucking bastard.
To this day, I never had strawberry quick.
Oh, you're fucking up, bud. Strawberry quick's a thing. All right, let's
try it.
Move on.
Anyway, where are we?
The boys track down Elle.
The boys. Yes, they're on their way. Mike and Dustin are talking, and Dustin starts telling him about, why Lucas is acting that way. Lucas is jealous. Lucas is your best friend, and here you are going all girl crazy over Elle, and of course Mike's defensive. And but Dustin, I really like him. He's one of my favorite characters. He's just telling Mike how it is, and when Mike doesn't agree, he's like, okay, whoops.
Oh, shit.
What?
That sounded serious.
You heard that thing?
It sounded like the beginning of the Harry Potter theme.
It was the beginning of the Harry Potter theme.
That's all I needed was 2 notes.
Because at 8:00 it's Chewbacca's medicine time.
Oh, there you go. Damn medicine. Dog.
Yeah. So they talk about the whole jealousy thing. They go around the corner, they see all the commotion at the parking lot, and they're like, Elle? It's gotta be Elle. So they go right to the forest from there. We flash back over to Terry's sister. And that's when they're explaining the experiment by the CIA about how they basically paid people
to trip balls and get in the tanks.
Trip balls and get into the isolation tanks, which that's what that water tank is called. It's an isolation tank. So
and where we essentially kind of find out that Terry is her name.
Yeah, Terry.
She was pregnant with Elle while she was doing all these drugs and
tank. Yeah. And then that was 12 years ago. And according to Terry, her child was born with abilities such as telekinesis, telepathy, and shit you can do with your mind in order to fight commies.
She specifically was like, Stephen King stuff.
Yeah. And every time Joyce was like, but do you think she could be telling the truth? Hypothetically. And they kept looking at her like, the sister was like, you're crazy.
Right.
And Hopper's like, yeah, but all that can be covered up. And the sister's like, you sound just like Terry. She was all about how everything was being covered up all the time. You would have been good friends.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, this is getting good.
So the next scene, we see Jonathan and Nancy at the army surplus.
Yes.
Getting all the gear to catch a Demogorgon.
Bear traps, some lighter fluid, an old aluminum gas can. Remember the metal gas cans?
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, shit, that's a metal gas can.
Yep. They had that thing at the top where you had to, like, pull the whole arm back to get the gas come out.
Yes. I was like, oh, shit. And some ammo.
A bunch of ammo.
A whole bunch
like 200 rounds.
And the shop owner's like, what are you doing?
Right.
Nancy's
like, we're going to kill a monster.
Monster hunting. That was great.
And now I would like to say he bought like 200 rounds of ammo for a gun that you have to load 6 bullets in at a time.
Right.
Like, what are you gonna do?
No idea.
You might get one reload in before shit goes down, but I doubt you get to reload.
Right. But then again, the only thing he's ever shot was a rabbit. So
it's true. It's fucking true.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jonathan.
Way to go, Jonathan. And then Nancy has like this big revelation, like last week, all I could think about was buying a new shirt and how cute I looked in it.
Right.
And today I'm monster hunting with Jonathan Byers. So.
And then she's like, Dad, you're still the weirdest thing that's happening here.
Weird. Yeah. But then somebody drives by and screams something out like, can't wait to see your movie. And she's like, what? And she's like, oh shit. And she runs downtown to the marquee of the movie theater. It's all graffitied to say Nancy the Slut starring Wheeler.
I can't quite wrap my head around though how they would paint this marquee in seemingly daytime and they're still spray painting shit in the alleyway.
Right.
So did they spray paint the shit the night before? Right. And then why are they spray painting shit now?
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't. I was like, I get what you did here. But this is one of the first times in the whole series where I've been like, the continuity of this seems a little off.
Is it realistic? It's not very. I know it's early in the morning because Nancy should be eating pancakes, but I know it's got to be at least after 8 o'clock because the army surplus store was open.
Right. So these guys have just been out tagging Nancy's a slut on stuff all night long. Yeah. They're still doing it. Like you said, broad daylight and all these adults driving all around. Nobody
looked down the alley and was like, I wonder what them kids are doing. And nobody stopped them.
Right.
Yeah, that was like, you're right. That is like the first time that it's a little bit unrealistic, but I get it for the story. Steve's acting out, blah, blah, blah. Thinks that Nancy was sleeping with Jonathan. Which they find him around the corner in the alleyway. Right.
All this Steve, to set up the fight
and the chicks and Nancy comes over and slaps Steve and calls him an asshole. Steve's like mouthing off and Jonathan's like, ignore him, don't listen to him. And then Steve starts antagonizing Jonathan and putting down his family.
I thought for sure that Steve being the alpha jock guy in this little town, that he was going to wipe the fucking floor with Jonathan.
Oh, no.
Jonathan beat his ass.
Yeah.
That was,
and I kind of liked it.
Yeah. But that was the first time I was like, oh, Jonathan's not exactly the character that I thought he was.
He's not as wussy as he seems.
Yeah, he's not. He fucking went right after Steve and fucked him up.
Yeah, totally.
It wasn't that he just like got a couple lucky shots. Like no, Steve got to reset and Jonathan got him again.
And then the cops came and Steve ran away. So they arrested
Cops
Jonathan.
always fuck everything up.
It was a good fight, you know.
Boo.
Boo.
Right.
So then we flash
sure,
over. Yeah.
I'm not sure the cops fucking jump in there like that either.
Yeah, right? Like,
I mean, they probably try and assess the situation a little longer before they're like,
you didn't look up and see all the graffiti and said, somebody's ruining.
Somebody's got some splaining to do.
Duh. But, you know, we'll just, for the sake of the story, let's get past that part. We're at Joyce and Hopper getting ready to leave Terry's house. Joyce looks at Terry and like this look comes over her face. Like, you felt it. Like, I've said it before, Winona Ryder plays the shit out of this character.
Yeah, she really does.
The look on her face was like, that could be me, you know, or that's going to be me. And just like that,
she is doing such a good job emoting and telling a story without even saying things quite often.
Have to say anything.
She really is good.
Yeah, seriously good. Seriously good. What we did find out, this I underlined it 3 times. Okay, because Hopper's talking to her, and keeps saying, there's chance that we'll find Will. I think we found Jane. You know, I think that bald kid in the diner was Jane. You know, there's a chance. If we can find Jane after 12 years, there's a chance we can find Will. And they said it. He disappeared 5 nights ago.
5 nights ago.
Last episode, we were wondering if each episode was one day. It is one day.
It is one day, at least for now.
For now, for today. Well, for this season. So I'm really happy that they said that. But then it came over the radio that, you know, Hopper, there's been a fight. Hopper's like, don't you be bugging me with no stupid fights. And he's like, yeah, but it's the buyer's kid and we can't find Joyce. And it's like, oh, so someone's going to be in trouble. Now we're at the jail. Yeah.
I hope that you're not breaking up for real.
Me? Am I breaking up?
I'm losing you, but that doesn't mean that.
Oh no.
I don't. Okay, now you're back.
Oh, good.
The internet here right now is still so cattywampus, and I don't understand why.
Yeah. It's because DB's not in charge of the crew that keeps, you know.
Yeah. It is the worst customer service I've ever had.
Seriously.
It's been what, 2 months?
Yeah.
And they don't follow through with anything.
Well, no. Since the end of June, it's been in and out.
Yeah. It's my whole life's been upside down since the end of June. And my whole life is the internet.
Yeah. Fuck you, internet.
Yeah, fuck you, internet.
Fuck you, internet. Bing bong.
Bing bong. Fuck your internet.
Fuck your internet.
So we find the boys near the quarry and bullies are chasing them.
Not yet. We're at the jail. And the secretary, we're at the jail. The secretary's getting some ice for Nancy to give to Jonathan. And the only thing that really stood out for me is that basically the secretary tells Nancy that Jonathan's in love with you, sister. You know, you can't see it. You're a child, but Jonathan's in love with you.
Wake up. This boy has got the dumbs.
Yes. And then Elle, you see 3 empty boxes and her eating the waffles out of the 4th box. I'm like, well, at least she ate, you know, she got something in her stomach.
She's got 87 waffles in there, and there's like 4 grams of nutrients.
Because I'm sure they weren't fortified back in the 80s, but you know.
No, they're just all foam.
But she hears Mike and Dustin calling her. And then we flash over to Mike and Dustin, and that's when they see the bullies. But then we flash right immediately back over to Lucas, who his compass is going crazy. He climbs up a tree. He sees the lab. He sees the satellite dish. He sees some vans. Then we flash back over to the bullies at the quarry.
Right. Yep.
And this was like, I actually held my breath over this part.
Yeah, this like got real intense.
Right. Holy crap.
I mean, it wasn't like 3 episodes ago. Hopper was telling us that anybody that jumped off that cliff was dead for sure.
Dead immediately.
Mm-hmm. By the time
because
you hit that water.
Hitting the water. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But the one bully, what was his name? Troy? I think I wrote it down. I know I wrote their names down. Let's just call him Troy.
Fucking Troy's.
Fucking Troy. He holds the knife up to Dustin's throat.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit.
And it's the shittiest looking knife.
But it's still a knife in a kid's throat. So basically tells Mike if he doesn't jump off the cliff, he's going to kill Dustin. And Mike goes and jumps off the cliff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah. But Dustin can never question their friendship.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter.
Like, I'm not a best friend.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if there's a girl that like ruins everything or whatever. Dustin can never be like, you weren't really my friend, Mike.
Yep. Absolutely.
This motherfucker jumped off a cliff.
He jumped off a cliff for you.
Like certain death.
Yeah. Holy shit, too.
Yep.
But we look over the cliff. There's Mike suspended in the air, and I'm like, yes, Elle's got him. Elle's got him. It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay. Pulls him up to the top of the cliff. He's back on land. Elle is pissed.
She breaks that fucker's arm.
Yeah, she throws James on the ground. She like does a and Troy's arm snaps and like, holy shit. And she's like, run. I'm like, yeah, Elle, I love you, girl.
Right. It makes me wonder, are we going to continue to have problems with these boys? Or is this the last time they fuck with Mike and them?
I think James would rethink everything. I think Troy's going to want revenge someday.
And then at the end of this, fucking Elle passes out like Grogu.
Yeah.
She's like, I need a forced nap.
In which we flash back to Elle in the isolation tank when she made contact with the Demigorgon. And she's screaming and she's screaming. And we see the wall start to open. And I'm like, holy
she basically
shit.
fractures both worlds, I'm assuming.
We just saw her open the gate in the lab. And I'm like, oh, shit. Never saw that one coming.
Nope.
She wakes up. She apologizes. Says, I opened the gate. I'm the monster. And Mike is like, you're not the monster. You saved my life. You know?
They all give the big hugs.
Oh, the feels, Don. The feels looking at that hug. Oh, the feels. Like,
it was a good hug.
It was a great hug. Like, when I see you and Brady, I want you guys to hug me like that, okay?
Okay.
All right. Because we will see you again someday.
It will happen.
Yeah. So now
then the band swoop in.
Yeah, because the boys are like, let's go home. Come on, Elle. They're all going back to Mike's house, and all the vans start coming in.
Yeah. And that's where they leave us. Motherfuckers.
Oh my gosh, they're good. Oh man.
Talk about a cliffhanger there.
Yes.
This was an intense episode.
I thought so too.
I really this was one of those things where we got to the end of this episode and I was like,
son of a bitch.
This I was hooked before, but like fuck, dude. Now it's cocaine.
Yeah, seriously. Like, are we gonna have to like watch episode 7 and do a twofer on Saturday? Like, how are we going to be able to hold back from watching the next episode?
We're gonna do it because we like punishing ourselves.
That is kind of naughty, isn't it?
It is kind of. I'm choking myself.
Oh no.
All right, so this was a great episode. We got more toaster waffles. We got a big hug.
Huge hug.
Huge hug. And things are about to get real fucking real.
Jonathan and Nancy, do they have something going? Does Nancy like Jonathan, or is she just letting her inner nerd out and totally being herself?
Right. Or is Steve gonna listen to reason later on?
Mm-hmm. Are they ever gonna arrest him for graffitiing up the shit?
Probably not.
Probably not, because beloved jocks and high school football stars don't usually
right.
Absolutely.
And
what's going to happen with Karen? Karen's going to go and she's going to kick Nancy's ass.
Fucking Karen's anyway.
Yeah, but Nancy's sneaking in boys and letting them sleep in her room.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that those chickens are going to come home to roost at some point.
Oh, yeah. And then she probably will be grounded forever and not be let out. And she'll probably sneak out anyway because she's got to go find Barb.
And got to murder the Demogorgon and all those things.
Got to murder the Demogorgon. When are Hopper and Joyce and Jonathan and Nancy and the 4 boys in L, the 3 boys in L, when are they all going to know that everybody knows?
Yeah, I'm interested in that too. When did those barriers start to collapse?
Like, the only thing that we know is that Jonathan and Nancy know that Joyce is telling the truth, but Joyce doesn't know the other way around, and nobody knows about Hopper.
Right. Truth and truth. All right. We did it.
We did
Episode 7, probably next week.
Cheers, friend.
Cheers, friend. I'm drinking water now. All right. Say goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.